You're listening to Dr. Mara and Your Golden Years.
This is Dr. Mara Carpel and Your Golden Years on the New Talk Radio 96.3 and 1370 and live streamed on talkradio1370am.com. And now Debra Dowden, owner of 101 Mobility, is here. Welcome, Debra.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about 101 Mobility. What is it that you do? What's your purpose?
We actually specialize in mobility equipment, patient lifts, stair lift, ramping systems, anything to help disabled individuals become more mobile and make their lives easier, both them and their caregivers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you describe a little bit about these pieces of equipment, what they are and what they're used for?
Sure. We do extensive work in patient lifts. Like I said, those help both the caregiver and the patient themselves. There's 75% better chance of getting injured as a caregiver without a patient device that helps lift them. There's a risk of injury that's much greater doing it yourself than without the equipment. Ramp systems, anything from getting in the home or up the curb to your home. Stair lifts tend to be a big one in the hill country. A lot of two-story homes out here. The goal is to help individuals age in home. Baby boomer population is growing so quickly that our institutions can't keep up with that growth. We can't continue to expect to be able to help every one of the baby boomers that age. We're going to have to figure out a way to help them age in home.
Right, right. But they're calling it the silver tsunami.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have any numbers on that? How many people are needing to have some sort of help in mobility?
There's over 17 million baby boomers now with a disability, and that's out of 70 million baby boomers that aren't even 65 yet. So it's a growing number, it's growing fast, and we're working hard to keep up with that. We want to help figure out how to make their home not just safe, but more comfortable and help their life be a more enjoyable one.
Right. Most people would prefer to stay at home.
They would. I mean, even if you ask them, would you rather go to a home or with a family member, 90% say, I don't even want to go with a family member.
Right.
Give me my home. They want to stay where they are. So, and the longer they're able to be in an environment where they're more comfortable, they age better.
So that's aging in place.
Yes.
Concept. And is it cheaper to age in place?
It is. It's about a third the cost of, say, a nursing facility or assisted living facility if you can stay at home, or even having to move to a new home. If you think about the costs, okay, I'm in a two-story home and I've got to do something, or mom's in a two-story home, we got to get her out of there. Well, the cost to ready the house for a move and to sell the home and the marketing of the home and the move itself, it's cheaper to put in a stair lift to help mom get to the second story than it is to move mom to a new home.
So you can actually work with the home that they have.
Right.
And help them to make it safer.
We'll go in and do a free home evaluation. We like both the caregivers and the individual that lives there, obviously, to be in on the conversation. We'll go in and look at all the aspects. Where's mom having a difficulty? Is it just getting up the stairs, or is it going into her bathroom? Does she need a barrier-free shower? Does she need doors widened? Those kinds of things. So we'll look at the entire home and talk to everybody involved and see if there's something that we can do to help.
Do you provide some kind of home modification, or is it just the equipment?
We'll do the modifications as well, minor bath or kitchen modifications. If you need a different countertop that can be rolled under with a wheelchair, we can do those modifications as well.
Okay, that's great. So what sort of hazards would you say there are in caregiving that you feel that you can prevent?
A lot of them are due to, say, a back injury, and it's not just a one-time back injury. Caregivers are at risk because it's injury over injury over injury. So over time, the likelihood that they're going to need help when they're aging because of back injury is high.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you've talked to them about all the ways that you can minimize their risk for injury as well.
Okay, and you have equipment that helps to risk their
We do.
risk?
We do. Yeah, the patient lift systems are great. They come in small models that you lift just from a bed to the floor, or even can move them within the room, or there's even ceiling track systems that can move them from room to room. Individual can go from their bed to the bath and vice versa. We just installed a system recently for an individual that 24 had to move back in with mom and dad due to an injury, and she couldn't get from her bathroom downstairs to go to church. She was enjoying teaching Sunday school, and her students didn't want a new teacher, her mom was telling me. They wanted her back in Sunday school, so we put a stair lift in and a patient lift to help her parents, who, of course, they didn't picture having a kid come back home either, you know, so I think it helped the entire family get back into life instead of just focusing on the injury.
Right, so it really improves quality of life.
Definitely.
People can go home and they can be mobile, they're not stuck.
Yes.
So what's the cost for something like this?
Well, of course, it's a wide variety of costs, but one of the things that is something that we put into place that we felt was needed in the industry itself is a rental program. We'll actually rent out our ramps and our stair lifts. You know, sometimes you have a short-term injury, a broken hip. You just need a ramp to get mom in the house for a couple of months, so we'll rent those out. But straight rail stair lifts for a staircase that's just straight up and down, we sell and install those for $3,200. So it's a reasonable expense compared to having to have help in the home 24/7.
Right, right. And you had mentioned that there were ways of making it more affordable. Do you have any kind of payment plans or?
We have a rental program and a rent-to-own program on several different items in our product list, but the rent-to-own is usually a 3-month minimum, although we've worked with a lot of agencies that needed a day. You know, we'll work with you, and we keep those in stock so that they can be installed right away, ramp systems. So, you know, anywhere from 3 months to 18 months, and we can do the rent-to-own program as well. So.
So how did you get into this?
Well, my husband and I identified the need to do something on our own. We wanted to have our own business, but we didn't want it to just be about the money. You know, we wanted to find something that we could have a passion for. And we quickly identified, of course, the senior market. It's a growing market, but also we do a lot of work with the Veterans Administration, and we have 2 kids in our active duty military. We have a daughter that's in the Air Force. And a son-in-law that's active duty Marines. So he actually works with the Wounded Warrior Project down in San Antonio. So we identified with that, and we knew we wanted to give back to those individuals. So this concept really appealed to us because we knew we'd be working with them directly.
So you do a lot of work with the veterans.
We do. We developed relationships with the veteran clinics in the area here, but 101 Mobility has locations nationwide. We've actually got Texas pretty much wrapped up. There's a location in Dallas, one in Houston, one in San Antonio, and we all work together. Texas is kind of its own little world, so we like to work together. If there's someone that I come across that's in San Antonio's area, you know, we'll work together to get them hooked up with our people down there.
And I'm talking with Debra Dowden, the owner of 101 Mobility, and we're taking your calls, 512-390-1370. So, Debra, I know you mentioned already some of the cities in Texas, but the question that I got was, what other cities are you in? Are you just in Texas, or are you around the country?
No, we're actually nationwide. We work with over 45 different Veteran Administration hospitals around the country, but the majority of our locations are on the eastern seaboard in that area. Our national office is in Wilmington, North Carolina.
So, because I know that there are people listening on the web in other parts of the country.
You can find us, 101mobility.com.
101mobility.com.
That's actually 101. We just say 101.
Right, 101. Okay, and do you have a separate website for your local location?
We do, but your URL will probably just lead you directly to us, so you can get to us with 101mobility.com. It's actually austin.101mobility.com. Austin.101mobility.com.
Okay.
And each of the locations is actually locally owned and operated. Well, we take pride in that we're here. We're not just a phone call that you buy equipment over the phone and then we're gone. Every one of our locations is locally owned. We all offer a 1-year service warranty on anything that we install. So we're not going to disappear overnight. We're going to be there for you. You've got a warranty on the product, but we wanted to warranty our service, so we felt it was important to offer that as well.
So do you actually go in and figure out what people need if they don't know what they need?
We do. We ask a lot of questions. Like I mentioned, we do a full home evaluation. We'll actually walk room to room with the individual. It's a lot of paying attention to the detail. You know, you can look at an individual. We're putting in a stair lift. We'll want to measure a chair, their favorite chair. What's the height of that chair? And we'll adjust the stair lift to that. So, I mean, we walk through the house with them and see where they're having issues and make sure their caregivers there as well to help answer some of the questions that they may not be comfortable answering.
Right. And it sounds like you also take into account what activities that person wants to do, what they're
Yes.
really looking
A lot of times
for.
they're homebound, and we've talked a lot about all of the home equipment, but we do a lot of auto lifts to help them get a scooter or a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Then we enable them to get out, or even just on a walk on a Sunday afternoon,
Right.
get somewhere to a nice park. So we kind of open up the world a little bit for them by
Yeah,
helping
that's
them get
important.
places.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned something before about injuries to caregivers, and I know that that's a big issue because I used to work in a back pain program, and I would say that half of the people that came into this back pain program were caregivers that had injured themselves.
Mm-hmm. We actually are really trying to focus even on institutional help, trying to get the facilities to recognize their nursing staff, their caregiving staff. They need to be protected as well. They need to make sure that, they're all trained on how to lift a patient properly, but sometimes it's not just about how to lift them, but, especially in our society today, the weight of people is growing
Sure.
as well as the baby
Yeah.
boomers. So we're trying to educate everyone and try to help them get affordable solutions.
Okay, so you also work with various facilities?
We do. Yeah, we're open for any of that. We do commercially rated equipment as well as residentially rated equipment, so we can help with either of those.
Okay. All right. So you provide a lot of services. Home modifications, evaluating what people need, the actual equipment in the home, but also personal equipment, like equipment for people to get around with outside the home.
Right.
Even.
We occasionally, there are times we're obviously not the medical experts, but we like if there's a need for a PT or an OT to go in with us, we'll take them in on the evaluation at no cost so that they can help do the evaluation. If the family doesn't have a caseworker or someone that's handling that aspect of things, we don't make the medical decisions. We just help.
Right. So you actually bring the PT in
Yes,
with them.
if it's needed.
That's great. That brings me to the question of Medicare. Does Medicare cover some of this?
Unfortunately, no. We have found very few even private insurance companies that will help pay for any of this equipment. Now, patient lifts, the ceiling track systems, Medicaid will kick in sometimes then, but we're trying to develop local relationships as well with different nonprofits or even DADS, Department of Aging and Disabilities. We work with them through their children's program, MDCP, but they do offer some Medicaid waiver programs for those individuals that don't have the funds. So a lot of times they won't have funds to pay for the equipment because it can be expensive, and so we'll try to direct them, whether it's a nonprofit or help them get in with DADS and direct them on different places they may consider going.
But if it's an older person and they have a prescription for needing some kind of equipment, Medicare doesn't pay for that?
They don't. However, the state of Texas will allow us to waive sales tax on the purchase. I know that's not huge, but it does help. If they do have a prescription from their doctor, we can waive the sales tax.
Okay. Well, that helps.
It does,
especially
every little
with
bit.
some of the more expensive equipment, that can be a lot of tax. Again, if people want to get a hold of you because they're interested in having something like this, an evaluation, or buying or renting some equipment,
they can reach us at austin.101mobility.com. Our website is a wealth of information. It'll lead you to some blogs and some different things where you can do some research. But if anyone has any questions, I don't have a problem researching with you, for you. Just give me a call and we'll help you out.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And come back again sometime.
Okay, will
All
do.
right.